You may not want to hatch the Larvesta Pokemon Go eggs for the instinctive event in Pokemon Go, and here is why. So the blog post in Pokemon Go was originally said to have this. So Larvesta, the Torch Pokemon, and Volcarona, the Sun Pokemon, will make their Pokemon Go debut. Starting with this event, Larvesta will be available to hatch from 2, 5, and 10 kilometer eggs. So this Pokemon is going to take 400 Larvesta candy to be able to evolve into Volcarona. Okay, so it says, if we notice here, Larvesta will be available to hatch from 2, 5, and 10 kilometer eggs. So this was the original blog post that they did put out. However, if we go to the current blog post that's up live on PokemonGoLive.com, Larvesta, the Torch Pokemon, and Volcarona, the Sun Pokemon, will make their Pokemon Go debut. Starting this event, Larvesta will be available to hatch from 2, 5, and 10 kilometer eggs. And what was missing before? If you are very lucky. Pokemon available in 2, 5, and 10 kilometer eggs throughout a given season will continue to hatch from those eggs. So they added a slight bit of information into these new updated text, but that slight bit of information has a massive impact. So Larvesta is extremely rare, coming from 2, 5, and 10 kilometer eggs. And while I don't want to discourage you guys from going after this, I'm just going to share my experience with hatching eggs in Pokemon Go. I typically do not hatch eggs in Pokemon Go, and the reason being is that over every single different system in Pokemon Go, with exceptions, I rarely see shiny odds come through in my favor, or anything good, to be quite honest with you. I hatch eggs, the 12 kilometer eggs, as I did encourage you in my tip video. If you want to see the full tips for this event, do check it out up here, is because I know that for a fact, if I use a star piece and I hatch 12 kilometer eggs, I am going to get in between 80 and 90,000 Stardust every single time. And I know I'm going to yield that. Everything else coming with that is going to be another function of the game. So what I do is focus on the things that I can control, and that would be the Stardust coming from those eggs. I am seeing that there's going to be a boost in 7 kilometer eggs for the shiny rates, so my goal is to start hatching a bunch of shiny 7 kilometer eggs starting tomorrow, so I can report back to you guys and see if that's going to be worth your time, energy, and resources. But according to futuregamesreleases.com, the Larvesta hatching is going to be less than 2% chance in the brand new 2, 5, and 10 kilometer eggs. And just remember, if you have eggs in your bag, like a 2, 5, or 10, if you put them in incubators now, you will not have the ability. It has to be once the event starts, then you can start spinning Pokestops and getting those eggs to be able to start getting those hatchable eggs. Do scroll down all the way to the bottom of the eggs, and it should be in a tier 5 rarity in all of these eggs, which makes it quite rare, almost impossible, but you could get lucky because I have seen a couple people hatch them as well. Not only that, I did watch Zoe's video because she is in Australia, and I did not see her hatch any of the Larvestas. I did see Fleece King hatch a Larvesta, but I am seeing a bunch of other reports, including this report from PvPoke. Egg events have always been a scam, with exceptions. I'm going to put something in there because there was an event where Riolu and Happiny were in 2 kilometer eggs, and those eggs hatched an insane amount of shinies. I think I got 3 shiny Riolus, and everybody was hatching shiny Riolus. It was a really good event. If you want to see that vlog, do check it out up here. As mentioned, Niantic only updated the blog after the event started to state that you'll need to be very lucky, quote unquote, to hatch Larvesta. Why highlight it as a core feature if very few people can actually obtain it? Save your coins. So I totally agree with this, that you should definitely save your coins, that this is definitely not something that you should pursue in a high standpoint, because the other thing that's also going to happen here is that Larvesta eventually will come out of eggs. Might not be for a couple months, maybe a year, but eventually Larvesta will come into an event, maybe a Go Fest. It will spawn at a Calm Day. Something will happen with this Pokemon that will make it easier to obtain. So although yes, it would be very cool for you to have this Pokemon right now, it's not going to be worth the headache to be able to potentially hatch it unless you really feel lucky about it. Because if you feel lucky about it, I would say go for it if you're really feeling up about it. And I am going to put another thing in there, is that if you do not hatch it and you tried and you don't get it, will you still be okay mentally, or will you be bummed out? Because if you are going to be bummed out, maybe hatching eggs are not going to be the thing. For me personally, that's why I always like the 12 kilometer eggs, because I know that if I don't hatch anything good, I still yielded the most amount of Stardust from hatching eggs in Pokemon Go. Not only that, I'm battling the leaders, I'm getting potential Shadow Shinies, potential good Shadow Pokemon, and other things like that, and that's why I choose to go that route as opposed to other routes. And I do have a thread on Twitter, so if you do hatch any type of Larvesta, please check the pinned comments below, jump into the Twitter, and report back on how many eggs hatched and how many Larvesta you have hatched in Pokemon Go, because I'm very curious about this, such as Jonkus has hatched 62 eggs, including some, what I see as 7 kilometer eggs here, at least one of those, and I do not see, in a 12 kilometer egg there, I do not see a Larvesta, but just remember, Larvesta is not coming out of 7 kilometer eggs, and it is not coming out of 12 kilometer eggs, it is only 2, 5, and 10 kilometer eggs. And I also saw in Zoe's video that there was looking like it was actually not not shiny boosts coming from the eggs. It looks like there was a shiny boost to the wild when the event originally started. So I'm not really sure if that was the case or if that was just a coincidence that Zoe ended up getting a couple shiny Pokemon in her vlog in Sydney. So I'm not really sure exactly what's going on, but what I would suggest doing, as always, is to make sure that whatever you choose is in alignment. Whether you get it or don't get it, you are still satisfied and excited about that situation. So what may be the better choice to go after this? Well, more than likely you will hatch a Mime JR at some point if you're doing your 7-kilometer eggs each and every day. And just remember, it's not a guaranteed drop of every 7-kilometer egg, so more than likely you will not get 7-kilometer eggs every single time, but you can hatch at least 1 batch, maybe 2 batches for a day. And then additionally, I really love the 12-kilometer eggs. I cannot say it enough. You guys always hear me talk about it for Com Day, especially when you're going to be on star pieces, because these eggs will yield you the most reward for a functional currency in the game, which is going to be Stardust. So that's what I would suggest. Be cautious pursuing the 2, 5, and 10-kilometer eggs. I will probably do so because I'm a content creator, guys, and I want to probably show you guys if it's even possible for us to hatch that thing and how many it might take. And then furthermore, we're going to do a little bit of an analysis on the 7-kilometer eggs to see if those are going to be worth your time, energy, and resources. And then obviously I'll be staying up on those 12-kilometer eggs because this event also has double candy and double Stardust coming out of those 12-kilometer eggs. The only thing that I kind of really miss out on with for these egg events, especially if you're going to have a super rare Pokemon, at least cut the incubator distance by a third or a half or whatever that is so we can actually churn through these eggs. I get getting us get out and move, but if we have a little bit more incentive, like, oh, every time you walk 5 kilometers, you'd be able to hatch 2 5-kilometer eggs. It's like, oh, well, I'll definitely do that, you know? I'm not saying you have to increase the odds of this, but to communicate those odds effectively, if you are very lucky, is different than hatching eggs to get these, because when you read it the first time around and when I report on it and when I see that and then I use that for my tip video, it's much different than once the event drops and I'm like, oh, well, I think we might have missed a little bit of communication there, but that slight miss is something extremely important for us as players in the game. So we need to make sure that this is corrected. I want to make sure you guys stand corrected and that you guys can have a successful event and don't get caught up on the things that may make you feel bummed. Because just remember, happiness in Pokemon Go is about playing the things that you can control, like going out with your friends, enjoying some raid battles, talking with people, hatching eggs, and doing things that you're not expecting crazy returns from, like shinies, 100% IVs, and other things. Those things should be the cherry on the top always in Pokemon Go to keep you happy and level-headed. And if you're feeling overwhelmed with the game and you've gotten into the rut of, oh, I keep doing this, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting this, I feel bummed, I don't like this, just take a step away from the game, maybe go out for a walk, let a couple eggs hatch, let it come to you as opposed to keep on pursuing it in a game that is all about almost gambling, right? You're essentially gambling in Pokemon Go. You're not gonna go out to Las Vegas, you're like down 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. I should keep going. I should keep, like, at some point there's a stop, a break, and a reset. I'm not the biggest fan of gambling, and I hope that you guys take this, because if you went to Vegas and you're like much more chill about it, you're like, I have $500, I'll go and play a little bit here, a little bit there, I'll enjoy myself. And if $500, you lose that $500, you already have the preset value of like, this is what I'm gonna do to enjoy myself. Maybe I'll win a little bit, maybe I'll lose a little bit, I take my time, I spend it over a few days. It's much easier to absorb that than it is like going right off the bat, you put 250 on one bet, 250 on the next bet, you lose both, now you're bumped, and now you're in the reaction standpoint. And I don't want you guys to be in the reaction standpoint of like, I really feel a lot of FOMO, I feel like I missed out, I feel like I could win, and that's when they have you, and now you're an emotional buyer, and that's not what you want to be in Pokemon Go. So take a step back, enjoy yourself, but I wanted to report this to you guys because, my goodness gracious, I love you guys. Thank you to all my likers, commenters, subscribers, Patreon members. Everybody takes your support, subscription, participation to the next level. I'm gonna see you guys out on the next video. Peace. I want to take this time to thank everybody who supports me in every facet. It means the world to me, and an extra special thank you to all my Patreons. I greatly appreciate the extra support to continue to allow me to pursue Pokemon Go full time, allowing me to create my daily video uploads in the most timely fashion for everyone's benefit. Plus, I get the amazing experience of sharing my creative processes behind the scenes and raiding all around the globe with select upper tiers. Thank you everybody for being a part of the Trainer Club. You all mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you guys out on the next video.